Thank you for dropping by at Equity Communities of Practice, the convening place for cross-sector collaboration, community advocacy, and personal development, where development and growth are key to achieving sustainable and effective change. Our mission is to leverage insights gained through ongoing community building to promote health equity across all sectors, including finance, education, healthcare, public health, environmental justice, corporate social responsibility, and more. For more information, visit our website at www.equitycommunitiesofpractice.com. Together, we can make a difference. And now your host, Executive Director, Dr. Harry Pettaway, aka Dr. Harry, the Equity Coach.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hope that everybody's doing okay. Hey, I'm Dr. Harry, the Equity Coach, Executive Director for Equity Communities of Practice, and I help you break those personal algorithms that keep you stuck, keep us from making the changes that we want to make in the world, and keep us in those silos. So guess what today is? And if you saw the last video, I broke in the song, and I'm not going to sing anymore. But we're still going to try to have fun today. And if you could help me, hey, look, I learned this on YouTube, smash that like button, right? Stuff like that. Hey, I am trying to get 100,000 followers by 2026. I would love to start with 2 of you. So if you're new to the stream, please give me a like. Let me know in the chat. Also, would love it if you could follow me and maybe tag someone that you think might be interested in this content. Hey, and I'm gonna full disclosure, I like to ask this question about how you're arriving, and I want to tell you today about how I'm arriving. I'm a little bit excited. You might see me looking up over here, all over the place. I am running this stream solo, but I am doing a dual PC setup. And so if you're just tuned in for the tech, that's fine too. The setup is kind of cool. It's allowing me to do a few things, make some dramatic changes like this, so I can turn to the camera, turn away, add a few sound effects in this. We talk about health equity all the time, and I'm going to be honest, sometimes it is boring because we say the same things all the time. So I'm just trying to level this up a little bit. Hopefully I can get some guests that are interested in this output that will join me. And then we can talk a little bit more about health equity. So in the chat, even if you're coming in at the recording, let me know how you're doing today. Like, is your new year going well? Are you going to start over in February? I saw one of my friends, Rika, if you're out there, I saw that you were starting your new year in February because January is a free pass. So I'm curious if anybody else is out there with the same kind of theory. So it is Social Determinants Health Month. I know, right? Started in Michigan. I'm still kind of curious as to whether or not there's other states out there that have made a declaration for Social Determinants of Health Month. I am going to explain a little bit about what social determinants of health are, but I think that it's important. One of the things that I've noticed, especially here in Michigan, we jump right into a couple specific, what we call SDOH or social determinants of health. We tend to lean into housing. We tend to lead into food insecurity. I did see some transportation. I did see some aging, but we seem to be talking about the same things, especially in marginalized populations. So one of the things that I thought I would do is give you a little bit broader context. I do have my doctorate in public health, and I can geek out on that all day. It is a problem that I have. If you want to nerd out on public health frameworks, what that looks like in real life, all the stuff, I am happy to jump in that with you. But let's talk a little bit about the social ecological model first. The social ecological model, it's a framework used in public health to understand the various factors influencing health outcomes and behaviors. So it highlights the interplay between individual, social, and environmental factors. And it's those environmental factors that I think are interesting because in this model, they're primarily found in the institutional, community, and policy levels. And I know I'm rattling off some levels and you're like, Harry, you took away the diagram. So how's this really working for us? But this shapes the reason why that's important is that these levels shape the physical, social, and structural context in which people live and interact. So if we take a look at this, and I want to make a call out on the policy level in just a minute. Sometimes, well, actually, we'll do it right now. What's the point of saying just a minute, right? Well, do you want to do it now? I couldn't help it. All right. So normally, or not normally, but oftentimes, especially when you look at government websites, sometimes they stick to we call it the 4-level social ecological model, right? So the individual, interpersonal, institutional, and community. And so let's go through those just for a minute. So the individual, that's like, did I decide to eat that cheeseburger or not? How do I feel like cheeseburger, or how do I feel about cheeseburgers? Those type of things. Social networks and how our family feels about things. So if your family didn't eat a lot of fast food growing up, you might not make fast food choices. Or if you're rebelling, maybe you will. Who knows? But it's really about what's normal in your network. And as things like social media social media is huge, right? So we have to factor that in, that it's not right now just that your social network is who you hang out with at school, who you hang out with at work. It's who you interact with online. And then we get into workplaces, schools, and organizations, and then communities. They usually tap out on communities. So we might talk about built environments, walkable cities, things like that. What's interesting is that a lot of when I said that a lot of folks ignore the policy level, it's because it talks about policy. So it's hard for the government to promote a model where we talk about, hey, our policy might make it so that you're sick all the time. How's that going to pan out? So depending on where you look, you might only see the four model, but I do like to talk about policy. So let's dig into actually what the social determinants of health are. And how does that relate to what I just said? So when we talk about social determinants of health, and in my definition, if you are following along with some of the toolkits that are out in Michigan, if you're following along with some of the other toolkits, my definition is offering a little bit extra because it's incorporating the interaction with the social ecological model. So social determinants of health are the conditions in which people are born, grow, live, work, and age that influence their health outcomes and quality of life. These determinants, however, operate across multiple levels of influence. And that's one of the things that I think when we start talking about social determinants of health, even in Social Determinants of Health Month, we kind of move away from like, well, what are the various levels and how are they interacting? So this interconnectedness highlights how health is shaped not only by personal choices, meaning not only what I do, but also by the social and structural environments in which those choices are made. And sometimes that's what am I able to do? So it doesn't matter. And I ran into this when I used to work with Medicaid. It doesn't matter that someone gave me something called a diabetic diet because I have diabetes. If I can't get that food, if I can't buy that food, if my family won't eat that food, if I can't afford that food, it really doesn't matter whether or not I want to eat that stuff or not. So when we look at social determinants of health, and this is adapted from Healthy People 2030. And if you want to talk about, again, we can nerd out all day. If you want to talk about Healthy People 2030, I am happy to jump into that a little bit. I'm just going to pause just for a second, just to make sure there is no one in the chat. I sometimes just fly through things and I don't check, but I'm checking right now. Okay. All right. So social determinants of health they lie across 5 different domains. And again, this is one of those areas where, depending on who's telling you about social determinants of health, determines what you hear about social determinants of health. So I'll give you an example, or let's just read through them. So economics, education, healthcare and health services, what your built environment is, and I want to get to social context in just a second. So oftentimes what we hear about are healthcare and health related services. What's interesting to me is that there's 2, I'm going to call them bangers, right? There's 2 bangers at the very top that are actually some of the most influential. Here's the deal. I hate when I say some of the most influential determinants when I'm saying social determinants, because then I get really self-conscious about saying social determinants, right? Maybe we can make a game out of it. So every time I say social determinants and determinants in the same sentence, I know I said it like 12 times, maybe call me out in the chat and give me some kind of emoji, thumbs up, thumbs down, or, happy, funny, smiley faces. That's fine too. But getting back to what I was saying, a lot of times when you look at the information that's coming out from especially public health departments, they focus a lot on healthcare and health services. It makes sense. They also hyper focus on, and they should, marginalized populations. I'm going to get to why that's interesting. We might be missing something on that. But what happens is, what about economics? And why economics is cool? Economics is something that affects all of us. If you have money all day, I bet you still have a copay. I bet you still have co-insurance. But you still have to make some of those decisions about what you can and can't afford, and what level of that. You might have a little bit more privilege when it comes to what you select, but I bet you still have to make some of those decisions. The other thing is education. So education is considered one of the primary influencers of health. The reason why is that it affects so many other things. It affects your health literacy. It affects your ability to get a job at times. It affects what you learn in life and what you're exposed to. So where I would love to see more, and actually, who does this well, is the Black Leadership Advisory Council, who's led by Dr. Donna Bell. They, and I think it's partly because I don't want to say they fall under the Leo. You see me pausing because I'm going to butcher it. It's labor, economic, and opportunities. I'm saying that wrong. But that office tends to dig deeper. That is a crazy word. Into the factors that influence us, things like jobs and whatnot. But the Black Leadership Advisory Council, they focus in on things like education. They'll talk about health and healthcare, especially mental health awareness, but they also jump into things like immigration, how that affects the Black community and things like that. But hats off to them. I would love to interview Dr. Donna Bell live here with you all, or even recorded. She is so smart. She has so much to say. She is I don't want to call her a techie, but she does a lot with getting young people involved in technology. So that's where I'm saying I think sometimes we miss out with how we communicate about social determinants of health, because sometimes we decide, I'm saying we, right? I don't work for these organizations, but we decide what our priority, or what the priorities are. The priorities might be homelessness. Again, if you don't know that homelessness is a problem, you are living under a rock. Same thing with food. If you don't know that access to good quality food impacts your health, regardless of what your social economic status is, living under a rock. And I don't want to preach to you about that today, so we're not going to. What I do think, though, I want to go back to this here. where I focus is on social context. Some people, because it covers so many things, and social context are actually, so the people that are working to end homelessness, or help communities where homelessness is significant, or putting food programs together. The social context is actually how we are engaging with each other. It's when I'm talking about, let's break out of some of these personal algorithms so that we can have people that are focused on food, talking to people that are focused on education, talking to people that are focused on economics and building the community, talking to people that are worried about environmental health. And it's some of those type of gaps where I see that we have an opportunity under the social context to engage more people. We all need to be concerned about the environment. We all need to be concerned about climate change. You can hate me if you want. Tell me that it's fake news, whatever. I am a doctor. Real. So, rambling today. I got so much to say, but guess what? It's Social Determinants of Health Month. So I can come back tomorrow. And I think that's what I'm going to do, because what I wanted to do today was to just give you some foundation of the social ecological model, something that you can come back to that's not too long. Hopefully this wasn't, as well as in the context of how social ecological model relates to social determinants of health. Here's my ask for you. I don't care when you see this video. I don't care if you watch it December 24th, 2025. If there's somebody that you know that's out there that's doing great work, especially in Michigan. If it's in Michigan, I might be able to go visit them, see what they're doing. I've got a couple people in mind. Like, I think I might want to go to the Michigan State Recycling Center and talk to them about how they're diverting all this waste from the landfill, how they are not just like furniture and crap like that, but they are actually, they have a super awesome composting system. I think I'm going to do that. So anyway, if you have an opportunity, if you see this, I don't care when it is, please either tag that person, send me a direct message. Happy to talk to people doing fun stuff. That's really why, like a couple years ago, when I kind of reformatted my LinkedIn, I had videos that said, I'm here to start the conversations that I want to have. And it didn't make sense because most people are trying to sell you something, right? Like I would like you to, I would like to sell you on change. I would like to sell you on engaging in your community. I would like to sell you on the opportunity to come and earn a Social Determinants of Health Challenge badge at Equity Communities of Practice. I shall pause so you can scan the QR code. But I want to have conversations with people that are doing fun shit. Fun shit, cool shit, stuff that's going to help other people. I know I dropped a couple cuff words in there, but we're all grown-ups. Hey, I appreciate your time. Thanks for bearing with me. Hopefully we didn't have too many technical glitches that I don't know about, but guess what? I bet I will see it in the replay. Thank you so much. I'll catch you tomorrow.